Board of County Commissioners to order. Commissioner Powell, could I get you to say the invocation, please?
If you desire, would you pray with me, please? Merciful God and Heavenly Father, we thank you for the opportunity of being in this meeting place today. We pray for your guidance in all that we do, all that we decide, and may it be right and the best for the citizens of Person County. In thy name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Would y'all stand with me and do the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag, please?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
One adjustment of the agenda is we're going to remove the closed session. The group that was going to meet us and discuss that issue couldn't meet because of the weather last week, and so we're going to take that off the agenda. Is there any other discussions or adjustments?
Move for approval.
Got a motion on the table to approve the agenda. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes have it. At this time, we have an informal comment period. It's 10 minutes that has been established, and we only have one speaker, so Joyce Lever, okay, I apologize, I couldn't tell if that was an R or not. Just come up front, please, state your name and your address, please.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Joyce Lever, and I live at 5300 Woodsdale Road, Roxborough, North Carolina, 27574. I don't know where to begin. I don't know much about the rock quarry, but the rock quarry made me learn a lot about it, because it's in my yard, or however you want to call it. I've been there, I think, over 20-something years. In Person County, Woodsdale, that address. I don't know, should I start out about when they just wanted to get me to sell them some land for walk cattle through or whatever. But I was blindsided. It's the first time I ever got a chance to speak. And I'm kind of nervous, but as we say, liberty for all and justice. I live next to Sunrock. I know when Sunrock moving and when it's not moving. From the trucks that shiver my home to the cracks in the walls of my house. I know when the smoke is lit up, from the smell, from the nauseation that I get. I know the vibrations and all the banging late at night, even when the news is on. And I'm thinking it's still dark out there, but somebody's back there working, because I hear the thumping and the banging. I don't know what is going on, but I know they're back there. I don't know who idea was it to bring the rock quarry there so close to our home. I'm not good with maps, okay? But I do know that where the rock quarry is and that machine, me and it, I can go out there and walk to it and touch it, basically, from my backyard. And I don't think there's no one in this panel. And I asked, I don't know where y'all live, don't mind that, but I asked God tonight, when you lay down and before you put the covers and lay on your pillow, that you think about each and every one of us that lives on Woodsdale Road, and you put that rock quarry right there in our backyard. We have people down there now that wanted to be here that's on oxygen that cannot come here. We got people down there, elderly people that want to be here, but they cannot come. They asked me to speak for them. And I can only speak for us. And we all down there, we're one group, one family together. We might not be kin, but we call ourselves family. We try to watch out for each other. And this rock quarry, you got trucks coming down there. I don't know if you've ever been down there. You're welcome to come and sit in my backyard. You got trucks coming by there, they fly right past the rock quarry at my mailbox and hit brakes and back up real slow. That's how fast they're driving. You got them coming down from the rock quarry at that stop sign where they're supposed to stop and look before they pull out. They just pulls out where cars and stuff is just hitting brakes. I'm waiting to see a major accident happen. It could be your loved one that day happened traveling that road. But I'm just saying that the smell is terrible. We can't play in our gardens without soot. Can't open up the front door without something being on the furniture and all. The kids are out there playing. I done had my children tell me their heads hurt. What's that smell? That's not right. You wouldn't want your children to smell it. You wouldn't want your grandkids to smell it. I don't even think none of y'all would want it in your backyard. I don't know what's the name of that stuff. Like I said, I don't know much about a rock quarry, but it's a nuisance. It's too much noise. The smell is ridiculous. And the trucks don't care. They don't care. Then you came down there, you widen up a road, and we just talked about it tonight, us ladies, where you didn't even put no lines down. Before you went right there at that first bridge, there's just a black concrete down there, just a road. No lines in the road or nothing. So when it's foggy and dark and it's raining, no trucks riding, and we're trying to drive, we're going off the road. So it's like nobody respecting us about anything. Only thing I see down there is a stop sign. I think it might be a truck coming out the road. I don't know. But my thing is the smell. The smell. What'd you say, Betty? Oh. Oh, I'm using up 10 minutes? Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know
No,
that.
you got the whole 10 minutes.
I
She's the
do?
only one signed up.
Oh, I'm the only one. Oh, I wasn't thinking about that, but I can't. They told me I should. A while back when they first started, they said I signed something. Okay, it's just like, okay, Ms. Lever, this is that and that. Just sign right here. I never signed anything, to my knowledge, that said it was okay for about a smell. I trust you. I trust this man that says sign right here, this is all this is for. I took a man's word. People usually say when y'all in that business, y'all word is y'all bond. And they got a new thing called fake news. Right now, from the beginning of that rock quarry, all I've been hearing about is a bunch of fake news. This is the first time I sat in front of you. This is the first time I've seen all you people. Some of your faces still look familiar. I remember one man that sat up there, he said it was up to him. He would do the whole Wisdale Road as an industrial plant or whatever. Well, you know what? We might be little, but we gonna stand and we gonna fight. And I just hope and I pray that when y'all lay down at night, that you don't smell nothing like we do. Because it's not right, y'all know it. Deep in your heart, you know it. I'm not talking about the noise or not, but deep in your heart, you know we're right. And you know that what you did was wrong. You know it. So I ask y'all to ask for forgiveness and make it right today. Like you said, when we stood up here and pledged allegiance to that flag, y'all need to be justified and make things right here today for us, people that live here in Pershing County. We sleep here. We live in Wisdale. We don't bother nobody. We was a nice, quiet community, and we still are. It's just that smell and those trucks. We can't even plant no gardens down here no more. We can't even have our decent family reunions without trucks riding up and down the road or the kids playing. It's not fair. Your children are playing and having fun, and my children are down here smelling stuff, and you think that's good. That's not good. Then you look in here, 2015, I went to the doctor, and the doctor told me I had cancer. I don't claim it, but I still stand here with you today. And still yet, you still got me smelling that smell. But I don't let the devil touch me at all. I ask you in the name of Jesus, don't take that machine away. I ask you in the name of Jesus to take that machine away. If you got any decency in your heart, think about the human beings that are down there. I don't know, but I wish somebody else would say something. I'm speaking right now. It seems like I'm speaking for everybody that's in Wisdale. Not just Wisdale, just 10 miles radius from what I understand. And everybody here knows somebody. I know this man knows somebody. He got family down there. Close family. I know all of y'all know somebody down there, even if it ain't nobody at the rock quarry. Let me know when my 10 minutes up.
Got about 2 minutes.
Okay, that's good, Mr. Kendrick, that's good. But, my main thing is, I don't care what y'all do. I'm not trying to take away nobody's job. I'm just trying to tell y'all, stop with that smell. Stop, it's not right. Y'all know it's not right. And I hope when you go home tonight and you turn over, the last thing you remember, Joyce said it's not right. And your heart start pounding and you can't sleep. You toss and turn. I asked God to make you toss and turn. Let your grandbaby run in and say, Pop out, what's wrong? Nothing. Can't sleep at all. Just remember, there's people down there in Woodsdale that's still smelling that soot. We want to plant our gardens. We want our grandkids to play. We tired of riding up down the road in a truck. The truck's supposed to be in his lane, and he's in my lane, or pushing us off the road. That's not right. And you know it's not right. Make it right, guys. That's why they vote for y'all. That's why they put you in these chairs, to make it right for the communities. You know, make it right. We're not trying to take nothing away from nobody. Shut that machine off. Y'all know what we're talking about. Let's stop playing. Let's be honest here. Let's be honest. We can make this thing happen and everybody can be happy. Y'all gonna be happy when you go home. Because you ain't got to listen to them trucks running in your house, running the side of my wall.
30 seconds.
30 seconds, I know. Keep counting. You know, you ain't got to worry about that. You ain't got to hear about the smoke or see it open up your front door and see the gray looking stuff coming over your house. You ain't got to worry about that. You ain't got to worry about them trucks flying or parking on the side of the road waiting for the gate to open. Or when they tell you they're supposed to be closed at 4 or 5 o'clock, they still back at 9, 11 o'clock at night. See, maybe these people back here might not know, but I know. I know.
Thank you, Ms.
Lever.
Lever, excuse me. All right.
I hope I spoke y'all.
Is there any discussion or adjustments of the consent agenda?
Move for approval.
Got a motion on the table. Is there any discussion? All in favor of approving the consent agenda, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes have it. Item number 2, Woodsdale community complaints about blasting. Commissioner Jefferson.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. I heard some complaints, I guess, probably about 4 or 5 months ago. I've been conversating with a few of the residents down in the Woodsdale community with concerns to the rock quarry, from everything from noise to concern with possible damage to their home due to the blasting. And they asked to have this setting to come and share their concerns with all of you all, and I felt that it was appropriate to put it on the agenda rather than having an informal comment period, because generally we don't have dialogue in the informal comments time, and this allows us to have questions or follow-up questions, or even if a representative from Sunrock wanted to speak, I think that would be appropriate. But I have 3 residents that I have asked to speak on their behalf. One is a landowner, but not a resident of Person County, Terry Rogers, and then 2 residents down in the Woodsdale community, Betty Parham and Virginal Drumright. And I'll ask Terry to start.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
And for the record, my name is Terry Rogers. Address, which I've given to the clerk, is 3402 Dunwood Crossing Drive in Bowie, Maryland. However, I would like to say that my family has owned land there in Woodsdale, on Woodsdale Road, for over 100 years. I am the executor of our estate there, the Toby B. Drumright and John B. Drumright estates, which are abutting the Sunrock quarry and their Sunrock quarry in operation. If I would, I'd like to give a presentation, have this read into the record to all the commissioners. I have a presentation, as you will see it there on the board. I have a clicker here. What we're asking for is environmental justice and economic justice And what I'll show you here is the definition of environmental justice. Basically, it's a body of rights that says that we, as citizens of any county, any community in the United States, are entitled to protection of our rights, to protect us from environmental hazards. And what tends to happen in many cases, many times, is your less affluent communities wind up taking the brunt of industrial and hazardous type operations. What I have on the screen here is Person County outlined in yellow. It's on your third slide. And the star there indicates where we are located in Person County. What's significant about this screen, or this EPA Justice screen, is that the dark red areas there represent what's called low-income areas. And I have a slide here to show you that you can barely see, there's like a yellow, a blue line going through. That's still Person County there. But the significant number of households in that area that are at the poverty level or below. This indicates households that are $25,000 a year or less in income, which means that a lot of our citizens who live down here in Woodsdale, they're on Social Security. These folks have lived on this land and been there in Woodsdale and Person County for, as I say, over 100 years. So we're not, and I'm not, you know, just a carpetbagger or an out-of-towner or an environmentalist or an activist that's coming in saying, let's do something about this. No, we own property here. I've been paying taxes on that land forever, for as long as I can remember. So I am a taxpayer here in Person County. So Sunrock was granted a special use permit. Okay, for those that don't know in the audience, what has happened is Woodsdale has been zoned as a rural conservation area. And rural conservation area is anything, is nothing like what it sounds like. There's nothing being conserved or preserved in a rural conservation area. It's pretty much the wild, wild west that has been zoned, that anybody can come in and do anything, pretty much limited use on what can be done in a rural conservation area. So Sunrock applied for a special use permit to operate a rock quarry, asphalt plant, and cement mixing plant in 2005. They made certain promises that were written into the record of what type of neighbor they would be. They said there would be no effect on air quality. They said it is unlikely that an owner of residential property located near the rock quarry will even notice its operation. That's not true. The proposed stone quarry, asphalt plant, concrete plant can and will be safely operated and in compliance with local, state, and federal laws, rules, and regulations. One of the basic tenets of property and of property ownership is the right to quiet enjoyment, which means that they should be keeping their smells, their noise, their dust contained on their property. It's not. It's been violated. They said that their activities will fit well with the current neighborhood makeup and will be a good neighbor. Let's take a look at that. Okay, so the red dots are residential residences. That's where we live. You see the outline there of Sunrock's operation. I don't see compatibility of the neighborhood. I don't see that they are fitting into the neighborhood. Maybe someone else can see that, but those are residences in those dots there, those red dots. And more significantly. You see the TB Drumright Estate down at the bottom? That's the property that I've been paying taxes on. That's my property. We're less than 200 yards away from the asphalt plant and their operation. Standing on my back porch, I can see it. But Sunrock said there will be no inconvenience. They said that the facility will be invisible to the surrounding areas. This is what they said. And just so that I can, in case the commissioners, a lot of you were probably not on the commission at that time, I brought with me and added to your package the minutes from the August 6th Person County Board of Commissioners meeting. And on page 2, when Sunrock came in and requested vested rights for a stone quarry, asphalt plant, and concrete plant on Woodsdale Road, at that time, County Planner Paula Murphy stated that on May 2nd, 2005, a special use permit was approved by the county commissioners for a stone quarry, hot mixed asphalt plant, and ready mixed concrete plant on Woodsdale Road. They're back before the board. They came back in 2007 to request vested rights for 5 years. Paula Murphy stated, this is only to allow Sunrock to build their plant as approved by the Board of Commissioners in 2005. Okay? What's happened since then is Sunrock has actually applied for a permit to relocate the position of that plant. They've moved it closer to the buffer, which means they've moved it closer to our property. Paula Murphy said that this does not in any way change what was approved in 2005. The plans will remain the same. Now, I think we all speak the same English here. We all speak the same language here. The plans will remain the same. The plans have not remained the same. There was never an asphalt plant, there was never a cement mixing plant at the time that the permit was issued. There's one now. There's an application to put in a cement mixing plant. None of this came back to our community. None of this came back to us, the residents, for a public hearing, so that we would have an opportunity to tell you our lessons learned in being a neighbor of Sunrock. We have lessons learned going back to 2005, whereby we can tell you about all of the things that Sunrock promised would never happen. The Board of Commissioners were misled into believing those things were going to happen, and all of them have been violated. Every single one of them have been violated. So, there have been several changes to Sunrock's plans that should have come back to you, the commissioners. Okay? The boundary of operations has changed. A new section has been added that's closer to Woodsdale Road that's not on the original plans. However, in 2007, we were told that there would be no changes to the original plan. Facilities have moved from locations where they were shown and approved in 2006. At the very least, we were entitled to a public hearing. Sunrock has violated our rights to quiet enjoyment. They have caused smells, noises, pollution, and other hazards that extend beyond the boundaries of their property and onto our property. What has Sunrock meant to the Woodsdale community? Okay, the jobs that were promised by Sunrock for a period of time, they've been more closed than they've been open. They haven't provided the 25 jobs that they said they would 13 years ago. There's cracked walls and foundations to our homes from the blasting operations. It's been said that when they blast, it's equivalent to a 0.3 on a Richter scale. So that's a shock that's felt for miles around. We've had to endure noxious odors and fumes. You can go online and Google, when you get a chance, the effects of living near an asphalt plant. There's severe health hazards associated with it. Increased incidences of cancer, increased incidences of brain tumors, increased incidence of respiratory disease. These are all facts, folks. It's the dust that emanates from the plant that's on all of our plants, our cars, our porches, our furniture. We don't know what's contained in that dust, nor what it's doing to us when we breathe it in the air. It's decreasing our property values. The lands that our ancestors and our folks have lived and worked for all their lives and passed on to us, their generations, is not worth 2 cents. Who's going to want to buy land and live next to an asphalt plant where your health is going to be endangered? There's the truck traffic that has been spoken of. And it's significant to the point where we have collected over 500 signatures on a petition. I've turned those signatures in to the commission. They have those. We have more signatures that were collected on online that weren't on the written ones that we have that I will submit once we get them printed off to the commission so we can have those as part of the record. But this is something that's very unpopular throughout Person County. Is there anyone here who's opposed? Can I just show of hands of those who are opposed to the Sunrock operation, please? Okay, so it's very unpopular in Person County. So the folks who are running the quarry, they happen to live down in Franklin County, Franklinton to be exact. So you see all these heavy concentration of dark red areas below the poverty line. What's it look like over there in Franklin County? They don't have any of that. But they will come to us, they will come before you and tell you that it's okay to put it in our community. They will tell you that it's just fine. They'll talk to you about the economics of it, the jobs that they're going to produce, but they haven't produced them. Franklinton and Franklin County don't have that problem. So what is it that we want? We're asking for a full public hearing. That's our right, that's in your ordinance. That anytime there is going to be a change, a significant change to a special use permit, it has to come back before the community. You need to hear from us. You need to hear about our lessons learned. We can tell you what it's like living next door to Sunrock. We can tell you how well they kept their promises. We're asking for environmental justice and economic justice with respect to the development, implementation, and enforcement of environmental laws, regulations, and policies. Okay? That's from the EPA. Didn't make this up. This is what is required. You, the commissioners, can exercise your authority to revoke even the vested rights that you've granted if there were misrepresentations in the application. And there were misrepresentations in their application. Very much so. They stopped operating for a period of, I don't know, years. Once they stopped operating, in order to come back operating under a changed ordinance, they were no longer grandfathered in. They shut down operations for 6 months, at least 6 months. Our ordinance says that to reapply, they must meet the new requirements, which would be to come before the Board of Commissioners. We're asking you to bring them back in before the Board of Commissioners before any further permits are issued for the operation of the Sunrock facilities. That's the justice that we're looking for. As written in our ordinance, and the state case law says that permit holders don't get common law vested rights in an invalid permit. Their permit was invalid in that there were misrepresentations in it in terms of how they were going to operate. So we ask that you carefully review all of these issues, and we, your citizens, and the other 500 petitioners who have signed on, we're looking to you to protect us. We're looking to you to exercise good judgment. And that concludes my presentation. Are there any questions?
Got another speaker?
We do have another speaker.
Sir, you dropped one right there.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Ms. Parham. That corner up here is our phone.
State
Say
your
the-
name and address.
I'm Betty Parham, and I live at 5646 Woodsdale Road. And the rock quarry is just over the hill from my house, so to speak. And while I do not have a problem with the smells unless I'm on the outside, I do have a problem with the blasting. And I want to state something relative to Brother Terry's presentation of the 25% of the people who live there and their income. That's not true for all of us. I've been blessed to be above that poverty line. And I have a good sound house that is currently being affected because of the blasting. Now, the first time I heard the blasting, I was down in my basement, and I could hear it and feel it. And as late as December the 21st, there was another blast that shook the entire house. I was in the kitchen. I heard my china glasses kind of meet each other. And in my closet, the clothes hanger that goes across the whole of clothes was knocked loose from the wall. So that's a problem. And anytime you have blasting, it's going to affect, you probably know more about this than I do, so it's not my area, it's going to affect the structure, and especially the bricks. And that involves money in having it corrected. And I really have been stressed over the rock quarry from the very beginning, because initially they were going to have an entrance right by my house. But thank God it happened that they did not have to go that way. But the problem with the big trucks is an issue for anyone who is living above that area. So whatever violations have been done, they need to be corrected, and we need to be treated regardless of our income level. I have enjoyed the area where we are. If I'm outside, I can hear them just like placing a lid on a tin can. And during this time of the year, I can look out my kitchen window and I see something that looks like a structure or maybe the top of a mountain, but I can't make it out as to what it is. So that shows you it's just right over from our, what used to be tobacco field. And speaking of landowners, my family have owned property there, just like the brother to Terry's parents. So we are well established in our area, and we want to continue to live there in peace. And I will appreciate anything that you, as our county commissioners, to look into this matter and make it right. Thank you. Any questions?
Thank you.
Reginald Hill.
Good evening. My name is Virginal Drumright, and I live at 6415 Woodsdale Road in Roxborough, North Carolina. And I've been listening to all of this about the rock quarry. My house is shook. I love my house. I worked for it, paid for it, paid taxes on it. I don't want it to shake not unless I'm shaking it. And I can't shake it. I enjoy it. Now, they saying something about the dust. And it's a 10-mile radius. Dust and wind, as far as I know, from my understanding, we can't see the wind. We know the wind blows. And it's just not going to stay there in Woodsdale. It's going to blow all over Person County, Halifax County, wherever the wind blows. Lord knows I don't know. But anyway, my mom is there. I do work. And she is an elderly lady. And she, when I come home from work, she'll tell me, how shook today? Shook real good, the piano played. I'm like, how can that piano play and nobody sitting there? But, okay. But anyway, with the dust and the smell, we're used to country living in Roxborough. We love the clean air. We love to hear the birds singing, the bees that go by. The only thing we want to smell is grass cutting. That's it. But my mama's an elderly lady, and she does not drive at breakneck speed. When she goes to the doctor or to get groceries, she got to get out and push the gas to 200 just to buy groceries or take herself to the doctor. I don't know anything about the smell. Like I said, I work 12 hours. I'm not sure about that. But I do know I don't care for Sun Rock. My dad owned land in Person County. He died of lung cancer last year. And it's hard. When I say clean living, we're used to sitting on the porch, drinking a glass of lemonade, watching the cars go by. We can't do that now. That's sad. Very, very sad. We're used to walking. We'll get our neighbors together, get our little exercise, and we'll go walking. Can't do that because we're afraid we're going to get ran over by a truck. For me, I wish the rock quarry would stop. There's no place there. We in Woodsdale, we love clean air. We are good neighbors. And the police don't stay down there. We see when we're like, what's going on? Because it's not us. And we enjoy it. And I want to be able for my mom that she can sit on the porch, drink her coffee, drink her tea, and just live the good country life and plant her garden that she loves to plant. She enjoys that garden. She loves to get out there with her tools and harvest and take care of the land. We enjoy that. And if the commissioners here, I wish you would take into effect of the good country living, the health that we have. It's clean, it's quiet, it's peaceful. And I think that's what Person County lives for, is a quiet, peaceful country living, where we can all get along, we can enjoy our gardens. I can take food from my garden and give it to my neighbor, don't have to worry about anything. But if we continue with this rock quarry, we won't be able to do that. Thank you.
Any questions or discussion?
Question, I guess it's either for the manager, for Ron. As far as concerned, or the issue that Mr. Rogers brought up about a public hearing, if there's any requested permits or renewal of existing permits, is that already in something in our ordinance, or is it not?
That is not permitted or authorized in our ordinance. Give a quick little history. The Board of Adjustments, the law provides that if there is objections to a ruling of the staff, that ruling is applied, is appealed to the Board of Adjustments. The staff ruled that there was not a major change. It was instead a minor change in the special use permit issued 2006-8. If it were a major change, it would in fact bring it back to the Board of County Commissioners. Since it was not, and the Board of Adjustments upheld the decision of the staff, after an extensive hearing, hearing testimony from both sides, arguments from attorneys from both sides, albeit the contesting parties were not the citizens, but instead the owner, a citizen, the owner of a proposed winery in the area. So the contesting was between the owner of the winery, Mr. Hollers, operating under the business name Tunnel Creek, and Sunrock. The Board of Adjustments heard that the arguments for several hours, took testimony, and decided to uphold the decision of the staff. The law provides that the appeal from that decision is not back to this board, but instead to the Superior Court. That appeal was taken to the Superior Court. There have been 2 hearings before the Superior Court judge. There was 1 hearing, and his decision was appealed or reconsidered, and another hearing. The result of both hearings was that the Superior Court judge's order was to direct the Board of Adjustments to hear the issue again because of some procedural defects in their initial hearings. That order was issued on or about December 15th, the final order. There is a 30-day period for the parties to appeal, and the appeal goes to the North Carolina Court of Appeals. That appeal has not yet been taken. The expectation is that Sunrock, the essential loser in the initial process, will appeal that to the Court of Appeals. Then there's a chance, an opportunity, if people are, if the parties are not satisfied with that Court of Appeals decision, they could attempt to get the North Carolina Supreme Court to decide. The result of all that legal processing is the General Assembly has set up a process for these matters, and essentially it deals this board out once your decision has been made, and your decision was made to grant the permit some time ago. But the appeal is not back to you, it is now in the judicial system.
Without the lawyer talk, no. Is that what you're saying? It is not in our ordinance. Is it in our right that if they were to apply to do something more than what they are permitted for currently on that site, what will be the process? Do they go through our planning board again, or?
If they needed additional permits to continue or expand operations, in fact, it would come back here. But they are currently permitted for the operation that they have. There is no request for an extension or expansion.
And if they do, and those permits come in, is a public hearing required?
A public hearing would be required if there is an application and a necessity for additional permits.
Who governs the blasting? So obviously it's not the county. Is it the state? Is it?
No, sir. The county has no authority to regulate the blasting. The county has no authority to regulate any air pollution. It is the state that regulates that, and the state has a right to examine whether or not they are in compliance with the blasting permit or the air quality permit issued by the state. This board has no authority in either of those matters.
I would, however, ask that we identify who that department is and get that contact info to Mr. Rogers, and then they can do with that as they please.
Can I redress?
You're the chairman.
My redress is the fact that in 2005 and 7, the Planning Commission said that there would be no changes to the plans. There have been changes to the plans. You have it in your package there. You can read it. They're not my minutes, they're your minutes. It said 0 changes. And what Counselor has said is that there have been changes. He's classifying them, in his opinion, as minor, or as the Planning Commissioner said, minor. But it says no changes. And when you relocate an asphalt plant over 300 yards from its original location, that's not minor. When you pull it closer to the buffer of my property, that's not minor.
Thank you. And
Mr. Chairman,
that's what the Board of Adjustments had the hearings on when they were going against, or when Tunnel Creek had the issue with the movement of that plant, and the Board of Adjustments upheld it, and then that's when it went further. So as far as us as a board, we have a Board of Adjustments to do those types of hearings, to listen to it, and we have the court system to come in and rule on whether or not, if they're not happy with the decision. So we just heard our counsel say that it's not something that has come back to the board at this time, and so I would hope that we can allow the system to work as it should, and the people can, as you said earlier, address the issues that they have with the state at this moment, because the blasting and the smell seem to be, and the dust seem to be the issues, and so air quality and the shaking of the houses seems to be the issues that the state would work on. Right.
And that was the main reason for putting it on the agenda, where it would be in the record, to where if anything does come back to us, that we have heard the concerns of the Woodsdale community, and hopefully we'll take that into consideration when we're making our decision. And I also would like that the manager get me a listing of, or a picture of, the Woodsdale Township and how it is zoned and what the permitted businesses or permitted purposes of that zoning.
Any further discussion? Any further questions? Thank you, Ray. Next item on the agenda is item number 3, emergency medical services budget shortfall. Mr. Young. Thank y'all for coming.
out there. I was here for you, did you, Doug?
I was gonna say, I got a place to sit now. Commissioners, thank you for letting us come up to you. First off, I want to apologize. Today's the second day I felt good enough where I could talk. Got a bottle of water here. I'm getting over a virus, so I will do my very best to get out without coughing very much. But I come to you, no director particularly likes to come to the county commissioners at any given time and explain to her that we will need some
Doug,
additional.
you hold on.
Yes, sir.
Could I get y'all to move further down, please? Ray, would you push it up? Like they're moving. All right. Go ahead, Doug. Sorry.
That's
They ain't got a rope, Greg.
Like I said, no director really likes to go into the county commissioner and explain to her on our account that we are short funding one of our accounts at mid-year. And certainly we don't like to stand in front of the Board of Commissioners at this point. However, this year, Murphy has visited us several times in actually before December 1st. In one of our accounts in EMS, 3 of our older vehicles, which are international trucks, and 2 in particular, have had some unexpected large dollar figures breakdowns or parts breaking that we had to obviously fix to keep the trucks going. 2 of them actually did it one time at the same time. So with that, in our budget process, as you know, our fleet management captain, along with Greg here as the team, we put in our budget some extra funds for unexpected, but like I said, 3 of our trucks have not been playing easy with us. So with that said, and Greg will be standing up here in just a second to go over some details of what those costs were to give you an idea. We are out of our accounts on our vehicle maintenance and actually since December 1st, and with the help of finance, we shifted some of our accounts around to get us through to this point. But we are approaching you to ask for some additional funds to get us through the end of this year, and I'll ask Greg to step up, and he's actually going to go over a few items to explain how we got to this point, and then we have come presenting to you some items of how to replace that, the dollar figure.
I'd say first time in 5 years I have had to do this, so I feel pretty good about that. Unfortunately, we've had a shortfall in our vehicle maintenance budget. As Director Young had mentioned, the 3 international, which are all 5 years or older, have had some significant maintenance issues. 2 which had a problem with their the brake system, which that alone was over $20,000. Then we had a turbo and the particulate filter system went out on one of the others, which is another $11,000 to $12,000. So the 3 internationals themselves in the first 5 months of this budget year have cost us over just those alone have cost us over $32,000. You know, each budget year, Captain Powell, who's over our fleet maintenance, and I get together and we do a data-driven analysis of our budget for the next year. And we were a little short last year and realized that we probably need to add some more money to that. So this year we increased that line item to $50,000. But at this point, we have already maxed that out and have had to borrow from a couple other line items to get us to this point. What's Jason put that slide? So as I did, we went back and looked at what we thought it would take to get through the rest of this year. And as you can see, just our regular preventive maintenance schedule, we have eight vehicles, 6 which are ambulances and 2 which are admin vehicles, and both those are quick response vehicles licensed by the state to respond to calls as well. So new tires, we did a walk around of all the vehicles, see which ones would need new tires to this point. Miscellaneous repairs, and then we threw in a cushion of $10,000, which I can tell you we're already getting into that a little bit. So, and then another $3,700 to restore those line items we've already had to touch. So, so unfortunately, we have to come for you, but, as Director Young mentioned, Murphy Law has been with us. Like I said, the two braking sensor units themselves are over $20,000. So,
How old are these ambulances?
The newest of the internationals is 2012. The other two are 2011s.
Did they not meet our requirement for time to swap out, or did we just not have the money at the time in the budget, or we didn't approve it somehow?
We were asking for 4 additional staff, full-time staff members, and the increase in that budget was so significant that we wanted to try our best to forego the need for replacement this year to try to offset that increase. You remember we were trying to keep operating budgets flat, and that wasn't possible with 4 new staff, and it certainly wasn't possible with a $250,000 ambulance purchase on top of that. So
If
we
we
opted
bought an
for the
ambulance
staff.
today, when would it get here, ready to go, on the road, ready to go?
You're looking anywhere at this time to build between 120 and 150 days right now.
So these internationals, I mean, or I don't know when y'all go down the road if I'm looking at international or Ford, but they do seem bigger than what I see like in other counties. And I'll use Durham for example. I noticed they have like a Mercedes type van looking ambulance that is not, doesn't look as big as ours. Are we looking at going to something more, I hate to use the word economical in the sense of, you know, these are repairs and stuff, but I don't see many international dealerships around here, so I imagine you have to go pretty far to.
We do. We actually have found a local vendor here in the last few months that has been able to do a lot of our work, but anything that has to do with the international itself, as far as warranty or diagnostics at times, we have to end up taking to Amelia, Virginia, just outside Richmond. And you know, we have anywhere from fortunately they get on them as quick as they can, but you're still talking, you know, 7, 10, 12 day minimum turnaround for that. So Durham does have a smaller truck. We've gone to a Ford chassis, a F450 in the last 3 trucks we bought, which seems to be working pretty well for us. So.
And what is the average warranty when you purchase these vehicles? So I imagine those 3 Fords, are they still under warranty or not?
2 of them are, one is not. The 2015 is out at this time.
So what would be the resale on, let's say, an ambulance like that right out of warranty? Like how much money would we get if we sold the one that's out of warranty and we could purchase another one that would put you back under warranty? Would that save on somehow in our maintenance line if we were rotating them out before they were out of warranty?
I'll tell you, the resale value on a lot of these goes down pretty quickly. I guess we're kind of getting to the next part.
Our next item is a potential solution for helping us catch up on our replacement
I'm
of
ahead of
ambulances.
myself. Okay.
But before we can do that, we need to restore the
Sorry.
current budget.
I'll shut up now.
Thank you, though.
Could I ask a question?
Shut up.
You talked about the very large expense of repairing brakes.
Yes, sir.
Is that not something that you would hopefully take care of prior to such a massive repair through regular maintenance or checkups? Or
We do preventive maintenance on all our trucks.
so how would we get to a point that
This is
we're-
actually the electronic brake pad. Where, I don't know if you're familiar with the International or not, but they have digital keypads that puts it in park, neutral, and all that, and it has a brake assembly, something to. I don't know enough about it, but that whole system went out and had to be replaced. It wasn't like our
So
brakes went out. It's
not
just
at the wheels, it's
right. Most of these deal
electronics.
with some type of electrical or
Okay.
computer-based
All right. Okay.
issue.
That's
So.
different.
Your brake pads were squeaking, it was something electrical.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but we do preventive maintenance on our trucks on a regular schedule. So yes.
Okay.
What's the pleasure of the board?
Move for
Mr. Chairman,
approval
I'll-
with the request recommended by the county manager.
I would second it, but I don't have to.
We have a motion on the table. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes have it. All right, next on the agenda, item number 4, application for a rural economic development grant through Piedmont Electric for support of county emergency medical services. Mr. Young.
Yes, this is an item that we have been researching since we was dealing with this previous item that we just did. So we went out as a team and started looking for solutions and ways to work with that, to pay for it. And with that, I'm going to ask Greg to come back up here in just a second. We have a few slides to where our recommendation is to consider replacing the 3 international vehicles with Ford 350s that we have currently. And in this presentation, we will show you a reasonable where we think it is more cost effective, and then the purchasing process is look at possibly a grant with the Piedmont Electric system at a 0 interest loan over a 5-year period, which we'll go in detail in just a second here.
Shouldn't have sat down. Anyway. All right, Mr. Jeffrey, just to kind of build on what you were just discussing a while ago. Currently we have 6 ambulances. 3 of those are on a 4-wheel drive. They have 450 chassis, and 3 of those are internationals. We've gone on a 6-year replacement cycle, and where we used to be on a 5-year cycle. And of those 6 years, in the last 4 years, we have skipped 2 years. As the county manager mentioned, of adding the 4 additional personnel. Also back in fiscal year 15, I believe it was, when we did the remodeling to start our base 2 operations in Timberlake. We did not ask the board for a new ambulance that year due to the cost of the renovations for that base. So, like I said, we discussed the maintenance budget has taken significant strike at this time. Right now, we have fiscal year 18. We have a $50,000 budget that is gone as of December the 1st. Just the 3 internationals in the last 16 months, we have spent over $78,000 on those. So, pretty significant cost. So doing our research, trying to figure out the best solution for the problem is that the internationals are getting old. We've skipped 2 years and we've gone to a 6-year rotation. And we're kind of at the point we need to replace those. The proposal is to buy 3 new Ford F-450 4-wheel drive ambulances. That would give our entire fleet is 4-wheel drive, which, as you know, we experience a lot of snow here. This will be utilized this will be paid back over a 5-year period, which I think Director Young will go into more detail on the loan we're looking at. I've heard before, and we've had discussion before about remounts. At this time, I don't think any of those 3 boxes that we have would hold up to a remount. Also, when you go from a bigger chassis such as International to a chassis such as a smaller chassis such as the F-450, there's a lot of other modifications that has to go into that process, and you lose some of the structural stability of it. Also, in this proposal, we had looked at purchasing new turnout safety gear for our personnel. All the gear we have now, those that do have gear have exceeded the 10-year life for special use, when like we have vehicle education, that type of stuff, and we're trying to provide patient care. We're supposed to be wearing that type of equipment to properly do that, and to be in compliance with OSHA. So that is the proposal, and I think Director Young will talk more about the economic or Piedmont loan.
Yeah, just to emphasize some of the things that Greg went over, to give you a little idea of how this got to here. Years ago in the EMS profession, they looked at these internationals and EMS agencies really across the state and the region of the United States started looking at these internationals because they was going to last longer. What they found out not far after what we're finding out now is that yes, they do last longer because these are the big, huge international trucks, not like a pickup truck looking front end. But when they break, they're anywhere about 50+% more to fix something than the Fords that we're talking about. So that's why most EMS especially in rural areas, are getting away from those trucks because of what we're experiencing right now. The other thing is that on the OSHA equipment, the turnout type gear is that we did apply for a FEMA grant last year to absorb that cost. We wasn't able to get that, but if that doesn't go with this, we still won't have to request that in the budget because it's required by OSHA to have that. So with this Zero Hopewell, if it goes through with the loan, we just add that in to save some money. The other thing is that, as Greg mentioned, if we kept the 3 international trucks, you know, our rotations now are going to start going every year. We would pretty much have to rotate our truck out every year. So, and our looking at this was every year for the next 3 to 4 years, we would be buying a truck. Every year, the price of those trucks go up every year. And even interest rates change as we buy those trucks. If we consider and approve a 0% loan right here to buy 3, that long term we will be saving money by buying 3 now at a reduced price, because we will get a somewhat reduced price on if we bought 3 at one time, talking to our sales rep. Then we would take this with a 0 amount loan and not taking the extra year every truck going up a little bit more, and then interest rates may go up on those loans. So in the long term, we feel like it would be cheaper for us to do that, and of course the expense of the trucks breaking down again if we kept them. So that's with that. So we looked at and working with finance at several different things. So one of interest from the bank, and then Piedmont Electric has a program that probably most of you are familiar with. It's called a RED grant, Rural Environmental, it's a RED grant. And so talking with Susan with them, this grant is 2 different ways. We started looking at a USDA grant, that's what this would go through them, where we would put a request in for a grant from USDA. They would purchase a consultant to come in and write the grant for them, send it to the USDA, go through their approval, and if we get approved, you know, then we would start that process, and that process is met only once every quarter by the USDA. Excuse me. So we would find out either the first quarter if first come, first serve, first quarter if we get the grant, or it could take up to a year. She explained to us that they have a rollover fund that they have there that they keep in Piedmont Electric to use for their expenses of their 20% of the grant. They have to, it's an 80-20 type USDA. And that we could do a loan if they approve it to zero interest, where they just flat out pay for it through Piedmont. We would not have to go through USDA, and we could get those immediately. Talking with her, we feel pretty good that we would probably get our request from the rollover fund, all of that request. However, there is a chance that they may approve 2 or 1 of the vehicles, 2 of the vehicles, and we have to extend the grant to the USDA for 1 or some type of that format. But we feel pretty good that if I was approved to go to their meeting in 2 weeks, that we stand a good chance of getting it all taken care of through the rollover funds. So that is the proposal that we allow the manager to send a letter of intent as early as tomorrow, if it's approved, to go in front of the Piedmont board in 2 weeks and ask for a loan through their program to purchase the 3 vehicles and the safety equipment with the intent and hopes that we get it on their rollover fund and have it all at one time. Or they may come back and say, we can't give it all to you right now, and we give you this much for 2 trucks or whatever. So I will entertain questions.
That's not a grant. the one.
They call it a grant, but it's really a loan, zero interest loan.
Yeah,
but-
right, but the other
Right.
would be a grant contingent upon someone approving that grant.
Yes, sir. If we go
Okay.
to the USDA,
Right.
it has to go through another layer.
Okay, could we back up a little bit?
Sure.
Going with these vehicles, you mentioned earlier that you had to take some of the internationals back to Virginia someplace for repairs?
There's two places that the department over the time is used, Greensboro and Amelia, and Amelia gives us the better service.
But with this vehicle you're talking about purchasing, could they be repaired locally?
Yeah, if it goes through, we would replace them with a Ford F-450
Right.
450 that we are using South Boston Ford dealership, and we've actually gone to Universal some too.
Okay.
So half hour either way.
Have we had any large repairs under warranty or not with the current 3 Fords we have?
No, sir. They have been very, very good to us. Yes, sir.
So, this year we added 4 employees, and it's on the, I think, plans to add 4 more next year, because we deferred 4 this year. How is the cost of $750,000 on this gonna impact the budget for, the 4 new employees for next year, and then having $776,086 to pay back? So,
Well, it wouldn't
do you know
impact
what
the,
the,
it wouldn't impact the entire 750. It just impact the debt payment, correct?
That's right. So
One
the amount to
155 is what it would actually be per year, wouldn't it, for how many years?
And you have the debt service payment on the 776 calculated?
Should be roughly annual payments of 155, 217, 20 cents.
That's what I got.
Okay.
Just wanted to make sure we're clear on the amount that we're asking from the loan too. And then the 4 positions, I need a refresh on what that runs. What do we say, about 50,000 each, so
200.
around 200,000 is what we'd be requesting in the 4 new positions to fulfill the rest of that shift.
okay. Any further questions, any comments? What's the pleasure of the board?
What's the turnaround as far as knowing we're gonna get this?
It's in the intention that Sue, the Piedmont would let me know on the 22nd.
We should know quickly, and we would bring back to the board to accept the grant funds if we get it. And whatever amount that we're awarded, it will have to come back to the board to accept that. And so we will have another conversation about what to do. If we don't receive the full amount, then we'll talk about Plan B and Plan C.
So this isn't one of those issues where we could go ahead and spend the money and pay ourselves back.
It
We
is
have
not.
to wait and see.
Any further questions?
Move, do we direct the manager to apply for the grant?
Yes, please.
Have a motion on the table. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, with, all in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right, ayes have it. Next on the agenda, item number 5, resolution of intent to conduct an advisory referendum levying a local sales tax increase for additional funding for volunteer fire departments and rescue. Ms. York.
Yes. Good evening, Commissioners. You had expressed some interest in conducting a referendum to allow your voters to decide whether or not to increase your sales tax by 1/4 cent. And so in order to do that, I have a resolution before you that would, 1, ask the County Board of Elections to include on the upcoming ballot for the May 8th, 2008 primary election a question of whether or not they would support a 1/4 cent sales tax increase. And then the second piece is, although you're not allowed to stipulate how the funds would be used, you are allowed to express in the resolution what you would intend that the funding would go towards. It is non-binding. It can be changed at any time. And even if the referendum were to pass, it has to come back to the board for a vote. So you can, again, change your mind at that point if you wanted to. But you need to adopt a resolution to get the issue on the ballot for the primary, if that's the desire of the board. And then also, if you'd like to state your use of the funds, which you would intend, per your discussion, to go for the volunteer fire departments and the rescue squad, to supplement their current funding amount. We've talked a little bit about the timing of this and what that would look like. So if it is approved on the May 8th, it looks like the new sales tax would go into effect October 1, and then there's about a 2-month lag before we actually realize the collections before we actually get those. So that gives you some time estimate. If you were to use this or intend for this to be used for the increase to the volunteer fire departments, we would need to talk about the timing of that and an appropriation from fund balance that you would then use this additional sales tax to reimburse yourselves for, if you wanted the funds to be made available July 1.
That was my question, because we approve this, it goes in May, we're already into another fiscal year.
That's right.
And it does very little for
That's right.
the need.
That's right. It's a little bit tricky with the referendum being conducted on May 8th and your budget needing to be approved. So we would need to talk about, some options for whether it passes or whether it does not, how you would still continue to support them and at what level you would like to do that. But all we need tonight is direction from the board as to whether or not you'd like to place this on your May 8th primary election ballot.
That's the one issue that I have with this resolution, is that it's not a law or general statute that says that you can't do a increase such as this on a primary election. But I think the verbiage is something that it should or shall allow the most. Do you have that?
I do. It says the general
Verbiage.
statute encourages counties, municipalities, etc., when setting the election date, to set a date that results in the highest possible voter turnout, which we know is typically the general election. So the language says that you're to choose an election which would result in the highest possible voter turnout. It doesn't say that you can't do it.
They're coming out, Tracy and Kyle's on the ballot. It's gonna be a good turnout.
What, on the
Yeah.
the last two, in 08, 02, and 2010, and I want to get an understanding that the dialogue, the language that is on the ballot.
Yes.
What exactly can that say? Can it have any reference to cannot have any reference to EMS or volunteer firefighters?
No, sir.
So EMS and the firefighters would have to promote this, because am I right that the Board of County Commissioners we're not supposed to embrace this and promote it ourselves? Is that right?
Yeah, I appreciate you bringing that up. The board is not allowed to advocate or campaign for this. It would have to come from a third-party advisory committee, some other committee that was set up, but you cannot directly influence voters to vote for or against this. The language on the ballot will simply be a yes or no question as to whether or not the voter would like to see a 1/4-cent sales tax increase, a local option 1/4-cent sales tax increase. It's a yes or no question.
I have no problem putting it on the ballot. My concern comes with it being non-binding, and I feel that anything that passes referendum-wise will just end up like the Rec Senior Center did in 2008. It passed by our citizens, but we still don't see it. So that's my only concern, is I think that the fire department is looking for something real. And if we decide, there's a majority of us that decide to put this on the ballot and it passes, I hope that a majority of us has a commitment to see it through.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not gonna vote for this to go on the ballot, because I think that we still have money in our budget that we can utilize if we tighten the belts and move forward. So
Tighten the belts got us 3 ambulances that don't work.
they're still working. They just gotta work on it.
I hope they don't send, I hope, don't send another one if I call.
My personal truck has 347,000 miles on it, but I keep driving.
I got one with 260 and it's working, but I wouldn't put it in service to serve these citizens.
Point made. All right, any other questions, comments?
One thing I will say is, I think by having this as an option when we go into the budget sessions, this would be pretty much have been decided by that May date when we start our budget work sessions as an option on the table. And Bill, get this quote right. I am not saying that I would support the sales tax referendum. Vote on it if it passes. I'm not saying that. But I wanted to have it as an option, and I will evaluate every option that we have, and potentially, if worse comes to worse, potentially use it as a resource. But by me voting for it today does not say in any shape or imagination that I would support it, voting for it to go into effect.
Therein lies my issue. We've had 5 months. We're going to wait 5 months to put this on the ballot and see what the citizens say. And then we don't know if we're going to listen to them or not. Meanwhile, our fire departments are still having dire needs that we aren't fulfilling.
Well, you always talk about leaving options off the table. This is an option.
Oh, it's an option.
And I will say that I will
But we shouldn't put any option on the table unless we're going to utilize it.
And I will
or
say,
be willing to.
And I will give it full consideration just like I do any other item that comes across this board.
Any further comments, questions?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we put it on the ballot and let the people decide.
Have a motion on the table. Any further discussion? All in favor of putting it on the ballot, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? No. All right, ayes have it. Committee assignments. Chairman Kendrick, that would be me. Throughout this process, I've sent notes to all of my fellow county commissioners with the assignments that we have, and hearing back from all of them, it seems everyone is satisfied with the committees and the chairs that they're on. So having no one with any issues on the boards or committees that they serve on, I would like to make a motion that we leave the committee assignments as they are for 2018. Is there any discussion? Motion on the table.
I need to add.
You need to add one.
Do I need to add one? Or is that just this Cardinal?
It's listed as your second committee, the Cardinal Nominating
You're
Committee,
already on
Vice
it.
Chairman.
Good. Thank you all.
A motion on the table. Is there any further discussion?
Second is Cardinal.
All in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? All right. Item number 7, appointments to boards and committees. Ms. Reeves.
I'd like to present to you tonight interested citizen applications that's responded to a recent advertisement soliciting volunteers to fill positions on the following boards and committees. None of these are contested seats, so there were no case of where there were more applications than there were seats. So for the Adult Care Home Community Advisory Committee, we have 3 positions available in 1 application. Ms. Charlene Wilkins has requested reappointment. On the Airport Commission, where we have 1 at-large position available, Dr. Anderson White has requested reappointment. On the JCPC, Juvenile Crime Prevention Council, we had Mr. John Hill requested reappointment to represent Parks and Recreation. We had Ms. Joan Keister requested reappointment representing the local school system. It's actually Lieutenant Cheryl Hughes requested reappointment representing the Sheriff's Office. The current District Attorney's Office, Jacqueline Perez has requested appointment and would be new to the committee. David Carter has requested reappointment as the Chief Court Counselor. Ashley Stone has requested reappointment representing DSS. And Louise Wright Oliver has requested reappointment as a city at large. Also, we have the Nursing Home Advisory Committee, one reappointment for Mary Jane Bratcher. Currently, there are 4 positions available, and that was the only position application received, as well as the Region K Agent Advisory Council. We have 6 positions available, and currently 2 applications received. Mr. Robert Allen has requested reappointment, and Ms. Barbie Hepler has requested an appointment would be new to her.
Motion to approve all applicants.
Got a motion on the table. Is there any further discussion? All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes have it. Chairman's report. I would like to congratulate and thank my co-chair here. We alluded to it earlier today. Gordon agreed to sit on the Cardinal Innovations Board for the nominating committee. Little did he know when he went down that someone would see him fit to move forward and ask that he sat on the board of directors. And so I think they made a good choice. I think Gordon will do a good job working with it. He's already spent one full Saturday working on some of the issues that Cardinal had in scaling down their exuberant lifestyle. And so having someone locally working with that board is going to be big for Person County, I think. And thank you, Gordon, for stepping up to the plate, and I appreciate that. On Thursday, January 11th at 3:30, Person County drug treatment court graduation. Mark Galloway sent me a note and said they're going to have a graduation January the 11th at 3:30 at the Superior Courtroom, and Mr. Calvin Harris is going to be our guest speaker. So if you can be there, please do so. And I'm going to jump in ahead of Ray and say, again, here tonight we had on item number 7 appointments to boards and committees, and had a whole lot more boards that were left with open positions than we filled. And so as you go through the county and you talk to people, let them know that there are committees and there are things that people can do to get involved in the county and see how this county's running. So thank you for that. Manager?
Yes, I wanted to mention that we're looking at holding, excuse me, a ribbon cutting for the Mount Terza Tower. It's now up and running, and we've gotten great results from the beta testing that they've completed out there. They would like to have a ribbon cutting on Friday the 19th at 11 o'clock. Light Leap, our partner, will be helping to facilitate that along with the chamber, and we'd like to have you all there as well.
January 19th.
January 19th at 11, yeah. Thank you.
Mr. Jeffrey?
No report. Had a good holidays, killed 2 deer. And I thought I would suggest that maybe Bill could do a story on our boards and the importance of volunteerism, or what we have open or something. Make a good read.
Mr. Clayton?
You got me covered.
No report.
Go, Chair.
Sort of echo a little bit what Ray is saying there about some reporting on some of the volunteerism in the county. It's extremely important. This board couldn't, our citizens couldn't receive the service they get without our good volunteers in Person County. And I think it may have been Mr. Jeffers that volunteered me for Cardinal Innovations.
That's right.
So
Put my money where my mouth is. So just good people.
Got a good volunteer.
how much money do you have?
They saw the same thing I saw in you.
Yeah. Well, it was an interesting meeting, the first one. The reconstituted Cardinal Board, 21 members, 4 of which are previous board members that was disbanded through the governor's office and the Secretary of Health, and that board was actually, as I said, disbanded, and new board nominated and up and running right now. We had a meeting that lasted all day Saturday. We have another one the last of the month, which is another Saturday. But that board all of its wisdom, has decided that would be the last Saturday meeting. So we aren't going to meet anymore on Saturdays.
Who do I need to call?
Call the governor if you like, and remove me. But that board oversees in 20 counties to the tune of something like $900 million. It is more money than I've ever had to talk about. But the thing is, who that money goes to serve, and those are our most needy citizens, those with mental issues, physical handicaps, and disabilities. And that's a population that, again, deserves every ounce of service or money that the federal government, as well as state government and local governments, can supply. And so that's my intention, is to represent those people and make sure that it's done in a proper manner. And we've already made decisions that reduced a CEO pay from 3 times what statute dictated down to less than what statute says. Eliminated a lot of other things already that are just was extravagant spending, which took away from the services that I just spoke about. So, and I think that board sitting around the table, that's their main and basic concern, is the people for whom these services are intended, and it's not for exuberant spending of board members. And I don't think it's going to happen with this current board, and I'm glad to say that. And but again, it's a pleasure. Secondly, I don't know if DOT actually met on the 4th. They were scheduled to, and the resolution approving the naming of a section of Highway 57 North in honor of the Lieutenant Guy J. Winstead, a World War I veteran, that was supposed to have been read that morning, but I don't know if it was due to the weather. So I'm waiting to hear from that, but it was approved by a committee. The resolution was written and to be read January 4th about 9 o'clock. So due to weather conditions, I didn't go, and which that didn't matter. My presence was not needed. But again, that's been about a year-long project that I think some of you others have been involved in, and it takes a while with DOT, and government moves slowly, but it's a very, very honorable job that's being done for this person that represented Person County, his country well, and so we'll be hearing some more on that in the future. Thank you.
All right. That's all the business that we have for this evening. I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All in favor, please indicate by saying aye. All opposed.
Send over the. Hey, Amy.